What's up, folks, and welcome back to Dyce Reacts, where we are staying in London, England tonight. We are going to be checking out 9 British things Americans don't even have a word for. Now, this is going to be hella interesting. Very much so, check this one out. We ain't going to waste no more time. We're just going to get right into it, folks. We're going to get right into it. Yeah.
First on my list is cheeky. If there's one word that sums up British humor, it's cheeky. But what does it actually mean? It's this combination of playful and slightly disrespectful, but in a way that makes people laugh instead of getting offended. It's kind of charming, it's kind of boldness. You might make a cheeky comment or have a cheeky smile if you know what you're doing wrong and you're enjoying it. People also use it like having a cheeky extra bar of chocolate at Christmas where you know you shouldn't be doing it, but you do it anyway. A kid asking for a third cookie after dinner, cheeky. Americans might say someone's being sassy or fresh or bold, but none of these quite hit the mark. Sassy has more attitude and edge. Fresh actually implies genuine disrespect that'll get you in trouble, and bold is too serious. Cheeky is lighter, it's warmer, it's more playful, and America just doesn't have an equivalent. It's distinctly British in how it walks that line between mischief and affection. Let's talk about British food. It's produced some dishes.
And I didn't know that was a slicky. What did I say? I didn't know that was a British word. Cheeky. A British term. I'm learning a lot, man, already.
So uniquely British that Americans just stare blankly when you describe them. First on my list is coronation chicken. It's cold chicken in a curried mayo sauce with raisins or other dried fruit mixed in. It sounds kind of weird. It is a little bit weird, but it tastes amazing, and it's everywhere in Britain, especially at summer parties, in sandwich shops, or in buffets. It was literally invented in 1953 for Queen Elizabeth II's coronation. They essentially took curry spices and made them safe and creamy for British palates. Americans have chicken salad, yes, but nothing like this sweet curry fruit situation. And more importantly, chicken salad isn't tied to a specific historical moment the way coronation chicken is. It's in the name. Then there's something known as the ploughman's lunch. Walk into any British pub and you can usually order some kind of ploughman's lunch, which would be cheese, crusty bread, butter, pickles, maybe some ham, or a pork pie. It's cold items on a plate presented as this really rustic and traditional farm workers meal. Americans don't really have an equivalent of a ploughman's lunch. They have pub food. We have what we might call cold cuts or nibbles or something like that, but nothing like a ploughman's lunch. We need to talk about British biscuit culture because it's a real thing and Americans definitely don't get it. And the hobnob, which is the word that we don't use in America, that's the king of biscuits. Hobnobs are these oat-based biscuits, what Americans would call cookies, that are pretty substantial. They're not too sweet, and they've got a really great texture for dipping in tea. They're actually engineered to withstand dunking in tea without falling apart. Hobnobs in tea go together. You don't often just eat hobnobs on their own. That's a lie. I do because I don't like tea, but most of you don't. Now, Americans eat cookies, sure, but it's just a different culture. Cookies are usually much sweeter. They're definitely in the dessert category. And when it comes to the hobnob, it doesn't really have an American equivalent. Hobnobs aren't chocolate.
So basically what you're saying, hobnob is almost like a, well, I don't, it looks like it's like a dry biscuit, but it doesn't really fall apart when you dip it in tea.
To cookies. They're also not graham crackers, though some people say they're similar. They're not. They exist in their own category. And
yes, I wanted to say it's like a cracker. It's not graham crackers. I'm not saying it's a graham cracker. I'm saying I thought it fell along that line like a cracker.
Americans, we don't have them. Next on my list is the chip buddy, which everyone says I say buddy, but I'm trying to say buddy, but that's just how I say it. So the chip butty, that sounds really weird in my accent. It's basically chips or French fries in a sandwich in between 2 slices of buttered bread. It is a fry sandwich. It is a chip sandwich. It is a chip buddy. Buddy being another kind of word for like a type of sandwich. Americans can intellectually understand this concept. Of course we can understand carbs on carbs, but we don't make it in America. It's not a thing. It should be a thing. I would like to start a petition for it to become a thing, but it isn't. And so while we can understand what a French fry sandwich would look like, we don't use the name or would know what to call it. Next on my list is the aga. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced aga because I looked this up, but then I found lots of people arguing over whether it was aga or aga. So let me know down below. Now, in British homes, especially among middle-class families in the countryside, you might find an aga. It's this...
I was about to say this list is a lot about foods and stuff. I was about to say she's a foodie. Yeah, but it's a good thing I didn't say it before this one. So we're going to hear what she has to say. Aga. We'll take it back just a bit.
Middle-class families in the countryside, you might find an aga. It's this massive cast iron stove that looks like this. It stays on all the time and it serves as a cooker, a heater, and basically a place for people to gather around. It's where the pets can sleep in front of, the tea towels can hang to dry. But an aga is not just an appliance. It is a lifestyle statement. It's expensive. It's actually inefficient by modern standards, and it requires learning a completely different way of cooking. And yet, people who love agas love them with a passion. Now, Americans have fancy appliances. We will drop serious money on a professional grade range of something that like talks to you. But an aga is different. It really represents this kind of like middle class connection to traditional British country life. Next on my list is the pasty. Cornish pasty is a baked pastry case filled with beef, tomato, swede, and onion. You can also have vegetarian options, which is what I usually order. It originated as portable food for Cornish tin miners. That edge, which is thick and crimped, it was designed so that miners could hold the pasty with their dirty hands, eat the rest, and then get rid of the crust that they touched. Now, the Cornish pasty is actually protected by law. Real Cornish pasties must be made in Cornwall following traditional methods. This is how seriously Britain takes its regional food traditions. Americans have hand pies, we have empanadas, we've got Hot Pockets. Can't believe we're not comparing Hot Pockets to pasties. Don't come for me. None of these are pasties. You can get pasties all over Britain now in service stations, bakeries, train stations, etc. But that Cornish origin story is always there. The next term on my list is the local. When British people talk about the local, they mean their pub, the local pub, not like the local post office or the local school or the local DMV, or what would it be called here? DVLA? DMV? I can't remember which one is British and which one is American. The place where you go to get a driver's license. Anyway, the local is the pub. It's not just any pub, it's their pub. The one where they're recognized, where they might have a usual drink, they know the bartender and the regulars. It's more than your favorite pub. It's almost an extension of your living room, hence your local. Americans have their regular spots, their neighborhood bars, places where people know their name, but the local isn't really a term that we would use when it comes to that. The local is really interwoven into British pub culture. And Americans don't really have this term because despite having plenty of bars and places to frequent, they don't quite have this same relationship with drinking spaces as an extension of your home life where you would meet up with people the same time again and again. People might go to different places where they might have one they go more than others, but it's just a different culture. Next up is the term elevenses, which is a mid-morning break. Around 11 a.m. in Britain, some people think it's time for elevenses. That's like a tea or coffee break, maybe a light snack. It's a whole thing. It's got a whole term for it. Americans take...
I'm feeling a little awkward listening to what she's saying because it seems like some of those terms I'm supposed to know them, but I don't. Never heard those terms. Elevensies. Maybe in movies, but maybe I can't remember. But nothing rings a bell so far. Yes, nothing rings a bell.
Coffee breaks, but we don't have a specific culturally recognized name for the mid-morning pause. You can take a coffee break whenever you want to. Elevensies is wonderfully British in its informality, using the time as a plural noun, so you just turned 11 into elevenses, and it's this sort of recognized word that people will understand if you say. Next on my list is the phrase Muppet. In the British arsenal of insults, Muppet is special. It means someone's being foolish or silly, but it's often said with affection. You call your friend a Muppet when they do something dumb. You might mutter it about a colleague who's messed up, but it's an insult with the edges rounded off. It's not meant to be so in your face and actually hurt someone's feelings. The term comes from Jim Henson's beloved puppet characters, obviously, but somehow the British have turned it into their go-to word for affectionate mockery. Americans know the Muppets. Muppets, and we love the Muppets, but we don't use Muppet as an insult. Our equivalent might be something like goofball or dummy or maybe knucklehead back in the...
What about dirtbag, scumbag? Is that American? Hit me up in the comments. Is that American? I didn't know Muppet was British.
day, but they're not quite the same. Calling someone a Muppet means that you're a little annoyed with them, but you still kind of like them. It's very British. And the last thing on my list is cowboys, because here's where it gets confusing. In Britain, cowboys doesn't usually mean rugged horsemen from the Old West. It means dodgy tradesmen and builders who do bad work, probably at inflated prices, and definitely without qualifications. Cowboy builders are a national term. There are entire TVs dedicated to exposing them. British homeowners live in fear of hiring what they would call cowboys who will ruin the renovation and run off with the money. Americans might call these people con artists. You might say something like a fly-by-night operator, but we don't really have a specific term for this. And definitely when we talk about cowboys in America, we're talking about these guys. The metaphor probably relates to cowboys as lawless frontier figures operating outside civilized society. So it makes sense in the British context, but it's pretty funny because American cowboys are heroic figures for almost these exact same reasons.
The last statement she made there, man, I'm just gonna say, damn. She said that. She said that it's almost like you know, when you were younger and your friends are you're about to part ways and you're gonna hit them and run so that they can't hit you back. That's like what she did there at the end there. You know, it's almost like a childish play, man. She didn't even stay a second after she said that. It's like, okay, I'm gone. Like she knew she's in hot water, man. And she just ended the video. I've never heard that at all. And she said it's always on. So it looks like a device. I don't know. It looks like a device that would be superb or that was built for winter times in order to keep some warmth in the household. Because why would you build something so that it could remain on and be heated all the time? That's what I'm saying. Especially back in times past, they were not like heaters per se. It was like burning wood in the fireplace. So I'm seeing that an Aga maybe was used for that, because she didn't go into depth as to why it was made in the first place to do that, to remain heated, to remain on. I don't know. So you guys gotta hit me up in the comments with that one. Yeah, Muppet, hindsight, it sounds very, very British. It's not really brash type of word. It's just you know, it's not a harsh word if you're trying to insult someone, that is. I learned a few things on 11Cs. I've never heard 11Cs. Sounds like broken English to me. It sounds like, hey, that's what your parents gonna say, correct you when you say things like that when you're younger. You know, like speak proper English. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like a slang. I don't know what kind of slang, but it sounds like it's just a slang. I don't know if they view it or if it's in the dictionary as a slang. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up to see if it's there. But this is very interesting. Majority of the things, especially in the first half of it, were mainly dishes and those things. Never heard none of those dishes at all. So don't bash me. I'm learning. I'm not British, but I'm learning. He built me some more information about the Aga, why it was built in the first place. Because you see, there are people that still use them in England. And how popular is it still? And how popular was it? Because she says it's expensive and inefficient. So I'm guessing something that's inefficient in today's time, I don't think people would even buy that with all the technology we have now, unless they want to have it as a relic or something. Who knows? Hit me up in the comments. If you want to see that long journal archie that I do, hit me up on Dyce Reacts. We have the music reactions. This is where I'm going to be making my exit. Until next time, peace out.